Okay, so our recording has started. Good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome to the fifth webinar of the monthly webinar series jointly organized by the Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat Clubs of NIT Calicut and NIT Hamirpur. Today is a special day. It stands out from every other event with the illuminating presence of our guest of honor, Dr. V.P. Joy, IAS, Officer on Special Duty and Additional Chief Secretary to the Government of Kerala. Dr. Joy was an electronics and communication engineer from the College of Engineering, Trivandrum, who later on blossomed into a civil servant of India. Sir is also a renowned poet in Malayalam whose work has gained wide appreciation from all over the country and received several awards. We are truly honored to have you with us, sir. So with this, I welcome everyone to the talk on Malayalam poetry through the ages. Let me take this opportunity to invite Dr. Jay Prakash, Nodal Officer, Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat Club of NIT Calicut, to welcome our esteemed speaker of the day. Sir, please.
Thank you, Anu. Good evening, everyone. It is indeed my proud privilege to welcome our speaker and guest of honor, Dr. Joy VP, IAS, Officer on Special Duty, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Kerala, to talk about Malayalam poetry through the ages. It is a matter of great pride that Sir agreed to address the student and faculty of NIT Calicut and NIT Hamirpur even during this COVID-19 pandemic. We are extremely grateful for that, sir. As you all know, Sir is technocrat and a poet, a man of merit in every field he touched. Sir, I am very happy to welcome you to this webinar on behalf of Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat Club. Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat aims to enhance interaction, promote the mutual understanding between the people of different state UT through the concept of state UT pairing. The states carry out activities to promote a sustained and structural cultural connect in the area of language learning, culture and tradition and music, tourism and cuisine, sports and sharing all the best practices and many more. Now, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. P.S. Satidevi, Director in charge of NIT Calicut, who exuberantly support us in all our endeavors. Now, I extend a hearty welcome to our mentor, Dr. Sri Madhukumar, Dean Student Welfare, who is the pillar of strength of our club and our institute. Further, I welcome Dr. Raghu CV, who provided all support in organizing this event. I would also like to welcome Dr. Tapat Pallai, Nodal Officer, NIT Hamirpur, to grace this prestigious event. I extend my welcome to Anu Joseph and all EBSV club members from NIT Calicut and NIT Hamirpur. Also, we have Jishnu, Rahul, Savi, and Gayatri for reciting poems. So I welcome them to this event. Last but not the least, I would like to welcome all faculty members and students of NIT Calicut and NIT Hamirpur to be a part of this informative and interesting talk. So welcome you all. Thank you all. Over to Anu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, I invite Director in charge of NIT Calicut, Dr. P.S. Sati Devi, to formally introduce our speaker and thereby inaugurate the webinar. Sadi ma'am was a contemporary of Joy sir. They both belong to the 85 ACE batch but from different colleges. So it's a sweet coincidence. So with this, I welcome Sati ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anu. So, dear friends, good evening. So, at the outset, let me congratulate the coordinators of NIT Calicut and NIT Hamirpur for organizing this webinar today as a part of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat program. And I take this opportunity to thank Dr. VP Joy for accepting our invitation to deliver a talk on Malayalam poetry through ages. So on behalf of NIT Calicut and on my own behalf, I heartily welcome you, sir. And as you know, Dr. VP Joy is a multifaceted personality. He's a poet, he's a writer, he's a researcher, and he is an able administrator. He is known for books and research papers on the energy policy and also on philosophy of education, mind, and metaphysics. He has held various administrative positions in the central government as well as Kerala state government, and he will be taking charge as Chief Secretary of Kerala on 1st March 2021. And he belongs to 1987 IAS batch. He completed BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering from College of Engineering, Trivandrum under Kerala University in the year 1985. And he completed his MBA from University of Birmingham, UK, and MPhil from Indian Institute of Public Administration, and PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. And he is a recipient of many awards for Malayalam poetry, like S.K. Pottakad Award, Akshaya Literary Award, Sahitya Pratibha Parishad Puraskar, then Parshiraja Sahitya Prabha Puraskar Award, etc. So, dear sir, we are very much grateful to you for being with us, and for all of us are waiting for your enlightening speech. So thank you, sir. Thank you all. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the lovely introduction. As Dr. Joy rightly quoted, poetry is the science of imagination. It is an absolute honor to quote you in your presence, sir. Yes, poetry is the science of imagination. It is the embodiment of one's thoughts and emotions. Dear sir, you have blessed Malayalam with many beautiful and immortal pieces of poetry. Today, we wish to showcase a few of your works through this webinar. Now, I invite Gayatri Sandeep from NIT Calicut to recite one of your works and explain its meaning to our listeners. I invite Gayatri.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I hope everyone can hear.
Yes, Gayatri, we can.
I am going to recite the poem Oonyal from the album Ariyapuram. The literal meaning of the title of the album is Beyond What Is Known. Learning and knowing as much as possible enlightens us with the fact that knowledge is infinite and knowing is endless. The poem Oonyal beautifully describes a child on a swing during Onam festival. The sight of a child playing on a swing brings in an array of emotions, memories, and thoughts to our minds. The tenderness of the poem reminds us of the soft wind and fragrance of our childhood. The to and fro motion of the swing is compared to the unsteady and ever surprising human life, and also to the whole universe, wherein everything follows a cycle of creation, survival, and destruction. Prominence and oblivion coexist in a periodic trend. Moving on to the poem, ഊഞ്ഞാൽ എന്ന കവിതയിലെ ഏതാനും ചില വരികൾ. ഓണമാണൂഞ്ഞാലിൽ മേലാടുകയാടുന്മേഷം ഓണമാണൂഞ്ഞാലാട്ടാൻ വെമ്പുകയാണുത്സാഹം തിലകാങ്കിതം ബാലം പ്രസരിപ്പിഴും മിഴിത്തിരികൾ സുമസ്മേര സുന്ദരം വദനവും പിറകിൽ പിന്നിക്കെട്ടിപ്പൂവു വെച്ചതാം ചാരുചിഗുര ചാഞ്ചാട്ടവും കാൽ ചിലമ്പിൻ താളവും കൊച്ചു പാവാടക്കാരി ഊഞ്ഞാലിൽ ചെരിക്കും ചേച്ചിയുണ്ടൂഞ്ഞാലുന്തി പിന്നിലായി ചിരിക്കുന്നു ചിറകുവിരുത്തിയൊട്ടാഞ്ഞു പാറിടും കുഞ്ഞു പറവയ്ക്കൊപ്പം കളിയാടുന്ന പതങ്കി പോൽ കാറ്റിനെ തഴുക്കൊണ്ട് ഉയരം ലക്ഷ്യം വെച്ചും ഇറ്റു സംഭ്രമത്തിൽ ഒട്ടേറെ ആഹ്ലാദം ചേർത്തും ചലന വ്യതിയാന വേഗങ്ങൾക്കൊപ്പം നീങ്ങാൻ ബലമായി കയ്യാൽ ചുറ്റിച്ചരടിൽ പിടിച്ചും വസുധ വിളിക്കുമ്പോൾ അരികത്തണഞ്ഞാലും വഴിയെ ദൂരത്തോടി നീയും കളിക്കുന്നു കൊച്ചരിപ്പല്ലിൻ വശ്യസ്മേരലാവണ്യം തൂകി കൊച്ചു ബാലിക ഊഞ്ഞാൽ കമ്പിനും ഹർഷോല്ലാദം ചക്രവാളത്തിൽ നിന്നു വാത്സല്യപൂർവം കൺകൾ അർക്കനാ കുഞ്ഞിന്നു നേർക്കു നീട്ടവേ വിചാരിച്ചു ഊഞ്ഞാലൊരു ആവർത്തനമാണ് ജീവിതം പോലെ ഊർജമായി പൂർണം വേണം മാവേലി വന്നെത്തണം പ്രപഞ്ചം സമസ്തവുമീവിധം ആവർത്തന പ്രകൃതം ചൂഴും മട്ടിൽ സംസൃഷ്ട സമ്മേളനം ജന്മജന്മങ്ങൾ നീളും യാത്രക്കിതുന്നേ ലക്ഷ്യം കർമ്മകാണ്ഡത്തിനർത്ഥമൂരുവാൻ അന്വേഷണം. Thank you. That was the poem. I hope sir enjoyed my recitation, the recital of the poem, and I hope I did the justification to the poem, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, can I start?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can.
So first of all, I would like to congratulate Gayatri for reciting the poem so nicely. And earlier, Anu mentioned that poetry is the science of imagination. In fact, Richard Dawkins once mentioned, he wrote that science is the poetry of reality. So if science is the poetry of reality, you can say the other way, poetry is the science of imagination. So since you are all doing science and engineering, and I just wanted to make this connection between science and poetry. Now, science, not only that, there is another connection. Einstein once mentioned that I am like an artist who is using imagination, and imagination is more important than knowledge. This is what he said, because he says knowledge is definite, imagination has no boundary. It can go to an infinite extent. Imagination occupies a very small space. It is definite. Sorry. Knowledge occupies small space and it is definite. Imagination is indefinite and infinite. So science is a poetry of reality and poetry is a science of imagination. So this is the connection between science and poetry. But there is one more connection. The second connection is that you all might have heard of this philosopher called Ralph Waldo Emerson. He's a poet also, American philosopher and poet, who said that the true philosopher and the true poet are one, because both are searching to find out the truth. They are searching for the truth as beauty and the beauty as truth. If a philosopher is searching for truth and a poet is searching for beauty, both the truth and beauty are one and the same, and therefore a philosopher is a poet and vice versa. So to some extent, if you look at this way, this is another connection, because science is nothing but a search for truth, and poetry probably is searching for beauty. But since truth and beauty are one and the same, basically the objective of science and poetry are one and the same. Having said this, let me talk about Malayalam, because today our topic is Malayalam as a language. Malayalam, as you know, is the language of Kerala, and it is one of the Shrestha Bhashas declared by the Government of India, accepted by the Government of India, along with the other South Indian languages. Now, Malayalam is a Shrestha Bhasha, not just because of its age, because Malayalam literature is only 1,000 years old. But Malayalam is a language which evolved from Tamil and Sanskrit. Both these languages are, classic and very old languages. Tamil is said to be 5,000 years old. Sanskrit may be around 4,000 years old. So these two languages, which are, classic languages of our country, Sanskrit and Tamil, both combined, and the Malayalam evolved out of these, maybe more than 1,000 years ago, 1,200 years ago, etc. But Malayalam literature is only 1,000 years. In fact, the earliest known work which can be classified as a literary work in Malayalam is called Ramacharitam, written by a poet called Chi Raman, which is dated 12th century, only 800 years. So Malayalam, though it is a relatively kind of new language, but it can boast of having illustrious parents in the form of Sanskrit and Tamil. Having said this, now since the Malayalam literature started maybe with Ramacharitam 12th century, it had three distinct channels of development in the literary fashion, I would say. Literary fashion, it developed in three streams. The first stream is what was called Pattu Prasthanam. It is a song type, the traditional songs which came first. These songs were mostly of the Dravidian type, the Tamil. It originated from the Tamil side. Then there is Sanskrit side. People used to write in Sanskrit also. Even people from Kerala used to write in Sanskrit. In fact, one of the oldest texts in Tamil, which is Chilapadikaram, which is dated 2nd century AD, was written by a Keralite. That is purely Tamil text. Similarly, this Shankaracharya, who wrote so many works in Sanskrit, he was from Kerala. He was born in Kaladi, a district of Ernakulam in Kerala. So he wrote everything in Sanskrit. So there used to be writing in Tamil, writing in Sanskrit in Kerala, maybe before these, maybe 1,000 years back. But Malayalam evolved out of these two languages. Since last 800 years, its literature is flourishing. But then this Pattu Prasthanam, which I said the song tradition, came from the Dravidian tradition. Then there was a mixed tradition of Malayalam and Tamil, Sanskrit and Tamil and Malayalam combined, which is called Manipravalam. Manipravalam is Malayalam, like Mani is a kind of jewel, Pravalam is another kind of jewel. Both these jewels joining. Similarly, Sanskrit and Tamil joining, it produces Malayalam. So that is the idea of Manipravalam. So there was this Pattu Prasthanam, there was this Manipravalam, then there was this purely Sanskrit kind of text, which at one point of time in Kerala. But then these things developed over a period of time in different forms. I am not taking, there is different works which were produced. Like Manipravalam, there were works called Sandesha Kavyas, Unnu Neeli Sandesham, by that is a famous Sandesha Kavya. Then there are in the pure Dravidian tradition, there was Kannasya Ramayana, Kannasya Bharata, written by Kavi such as Niranam poets. They were similarly that they were not connected with Sanskrit. They were pure kind of Dravidian tradition works, this Kannasha Ramayana. So there were all types of these works, the Manipravalam works, Chambus of Malayalam, which are again very famous, lot of Chambus. They are all Manipravalam. So Manipravalam, Malayalam, Tamil combined type. But then from all these traditions ran parallelly, Sanskrit, Tamil, then mixed, everything ran parallelly until the distinct language emerged in the 16th century. So this distinct language, in fact, after Ramacharitam, one of the most important Malayalam works is called Krishna Gatha, which was in 15th century, written by a poet called Cherusheri. So he was, that was also kind of part tradition, Dravidian type of text. That is Cherusheri's Krishna Gatha. But Malayalam as a distinct language evolved in the 16th century in a literary way. Though Ramacharitam started from 12th century, but 12th to 16th century, those works are not in the distinct Malayalam type. The modern Malayalam, as it is used today, evolved in the 16th century with a person called Tunjat Ramanujan Eluthachan. He is called the father of Malayalam language and literature. Because this person, he combined all these traditions and evolved a new language, a new tradition, new literary out of this. That is why he is considered a great person in Malayalam literature. The greatest person in Malayalam literature so far is considered to be Tunjat Ramanujan Eluthachan, because he produced two major works. One is called Adhyatma Ramayana, the other is called Sri Mahabharatam. Using these two, he was writing in a style called Kilipata. This is a style where the poetry is sung by a bird. So he is writing all his works as a Kilipata. So this Ramayanam and Mahabharatam are Kilipata. So it is they are works of very high literary quality. There is this one, I just, because of the lack of time, I will just say 4 lines of what he has written in his work, in his work, which says that, it is in Sri Mahabharatam, Chakshusravana Galastamam Darduram, Bhakshanathinabeshikinnadu pole, Kalahinaparigrastamam Lokavum, Alola Chetasa, Bhogangal Vedunnu. This is 4 lines. What it says is that a frog which is actually captured by a snake and actually perched in the mouth of the snake, which will be swallowed by the snake anytime now. But then that frog sees an insect just passing in front of it. Suddenly the frog puts its tongue out and try to capture that insect and try to eat it. Now the frog itself is actually in the mouth of the snake and it will be eaten any time. But the frog is trying to capture insect there, sitting there. So Eluthachan says, human life is like this. The human life, all humans are in the mouth of a snake called time. Kala hina parigrastam. So in the mouth of the snake called time, human beings are sitting and then trying to capture the things called pleasures, or the worldly pleasures are being caught, or they are trying to capture it. This is the meaning of these 4 lines. You see the kind of beauty of those 4 lines. That is why I quoted that particular lines. So now my point is that then there was poets like, famous poets in Bhakti Prasthanam that developed the devotion, the poetry of devotion. People like Poontanam, they developed these kind of Bhakti Prasthanam poems. I am not quoting much, but there is one, some lines of Poontanam where he is anticipating the law of evolution developed by our Darwin. In his book, Jnanapana, he is writing certain things which is later on developed in the law of evolution, which he says, Etra janmam prayasapettikkalam, atra vannu pirannu sugrudattal, etra janmam marathil kazhinjathum, etra janmam jalathil kazhinjathum, etra janmangal mannil kazhinjathum, etra janmam marangalayi ninnadum, etra janmam നടന്നതും, എത്ര ജന്മം മൃഗങ്ങൾ പശുക്കളായി, അത് വന്നിട്ട് ഇവണ്ണം ലഭിച്ചൊരു മർത്യജന്മത്തിന് മുമ്പേ കഴിച്ചു നാം. This is what he says. Because he says, how many we are born here by luck. How many lifetimes we spend in water? How many lifetimes we lived like trees? How many lifetimes we lived as beasts, as cattle, so that we could be born as men? This is nothing but the law of evolution. This was written in the 16th century. Poontanam lived in the 16th century. Now, then later on, there were other schools which came later. Then finally, the Malayalam language the golden age of literature started in the early 20th century with certain poets like V.C. Balakrishna Panikkar, who is considered to be a wonder boy of Malayalam, because this V.C. Balakrishna Panikkar died at the age of 25. He lived only at the age of 25. But before 25, he wrote some very, very serious literary works. One is called Oru Vilapam, the other is called Vishwa Rupam. Both are supposed to be very good poems, beautiful poems, written all in Sanskrit meters, and such wonderful poems that these poems are taught even now in the universities and all that. This person died at the age of 25. Then in the early 20th century, there came the Kavitrayas, the three poets, the major poets, Kumaranashan, Ullur, and Vallathol, who were the romantic poets of Kerala. Not only romantic poets, because poetry, if somebody asks you to define poetry, it is very difficult. Here we said poetry is a science of imagination. So many things are there. So many people have defined it in many ways. There is a poet called Robert Frost, who said that poetry is when an emotion has found its thought, and thought has found words. This is what Robert Frost said. When imagination finds thought, and thought finds words, that is what is called poetry. And then there are people who thought poetry is connected to philosophy, but what exactly is poetry, nobody knows. Poetry is perhaps all of this, or poetry is what you define it as poem, because it is conveying human experience from one mind to another mind. That is all the definition of poetry is. Now, what kind of human experience? Human experience which is ennobling, which is uplifting, then only it is called poetry. Otherwise, you can't define anything as poetry. Now, that is why the recently two very important poets, they in Malayalam, the two important poets expired recently, Akitham, the Jnanapith winner, who wrote that Oru Kannir Kanam Mattullavarkkai Njan Pozhikkave, Udikkayanen Atmavil Ayiram Sauramandalam, Oru Punjiri Mattullavarkkai, Oru Punjiri Njan Mattullavarkkai Chelavakave, Hridayatthiludavunnu Nityanirmala Paurnami, Ariഞ്ഞിലിത്ര നാളും ഞാൻ ഇദ്ദിവേ പുളകോദ്ഗമം ആ മഹാനഷ്ടമോർത്തോർത്ത് കുലുങ്ങിക്കരയുന്നു ഞാൻ. What he says is that when I put one drop of tear for another person, so in my mind the 1,000 suns are rising. And similarly, when I spend a smile for another person, in my heart there is this moonlight flourishing. That is what he says. So till this time I did not know this, and I cry thinking of that loss. This is the meaning of these lines. So that is the importance of poetry. Poetry allows a person to transcend his existence, transcend the space-time which he is occupying. As a human being, beings occupy a very small area of space-time. In this small area, in fact, it's a dot. A human being is a dot. From that dot, this human being can transcend his existence and spread his sensibilities far and wide to other human beings. And perhaps they can reach out to the whole humanity. So then we call it, in Malayalam, we call it Manavikata. So that is an aspect of poetry. So poetry allows a person to transcend his life, transcend and expand to a wider humanity, and maybe to the entire universe. So that is the importance of poetry. So it has thought, as it was told earlier, it has emotion, and emotion finds words, and words find thought. So it needs to have thought also. So this again, this Akitham wrote, ഉള്ളതായി തോന്നുന്നുവെങ്കിലും ഓമനെ ഇല്ലാത്തതാണ് ഈ പ്രപഞ്ചം, ഇല്ലാത്തതായി തോന്നുമെങ്കിലും ഓമനെ ഉള്ളത് തന്നെ താൻ ഈ പ്രപഞ്ചം. This is 4 lines which he wrote. What it says is that this universe looks as if it is there, but it is not there. And this universe looks as if it is not there, but it is there. This is the meaning, his interpretation of the universe. So poetry tells you certain truths, that certain philosophical truths, in the same way as science tells you philosophy. So in fact, science, the greatest researchers of science have used poetry. They think in poetry also. Einstein always said that he thinks in images. And then those images allowed him to make things concrete later. In the world, everything starts in abstract. Nothing is concrete. The objective reality, what we see, these are the people who are modernists, the people who are positivists. They think that the reality which is there, which you can just sense as an outside observer, you just look at it and sense the reality. But the postmodernists, the post-positivists, such people, they know it very well that reality, you are part of it. You are modifying it. What you see as your reality is only your reality. Another person sees his or her reality. So reality is constructed by an observer. This is the view. Even in the quantum physics, it is the same view. The reality the observed is modified by the observer. The quantum observations say the same thing. So poetry, when it sees the reality as being modified, the modern poetry, the constructivism and all such ideas, concepts come. Now there are different sensibilities of poetry. People, when they expand their consciousness, try to encompass the entire reality, then they try to transform it. So poetry becomes transformative. It can be constructive, it can be transformative. It tries to transform the world. Poets like, modern poets like Vailar, they thought that poetry is transformative. He wrote, there is a poem which Vailar wrote, ഉടവാളൊരുക്കി ഞാൻ വീണ തീർത്തത് നാട്ടിൽ ഉറക്കുപാട്ടും പാടി സഞ്ചരിക്കുവാനല്ല, കാറ്റടിച്ചിളക്കുന്ന കാലത്തിൻ ധീരസ്വരം മാറ്റത്തിൻ രാഗം താനം പല്ലവിയാക്കാനല്ലോ, മനുഷ്യ മസ്തിഷ്കത്തോടല്ല മാംസത്തോടല്ല മനസ്സിനോടെ കാവ്യഹൃദയം സംസാരിക്കൂ, പടവാളിനേക്കാളും വീണയ്ക്ക് വൈകാരിക പരിവർത്തനങ്ങളെ മനസ്സിൽ തീർക്കാനാവൂ. What he says is that I had a sword, I melted it and converted it into a lute. Why I converted into a lute? Because the music which comes out of that lute can change hearts. Whereas by sword, I cannot make that change. That is why I converted my sword into a lute. That is what he says. And then he says that മണ്ണിനാത്മാവ് കുളിർന്നു കുളിർന്ന് അതിൽ നിന്നുയർ കൊള്ളുമീ പുത്തൻ കുരുന്നുകൾ, നുള്ളിക്കളയാൻ വരുന്നവരോട് എനിക്കുള്ളിൽ ഉള്ള താക്കീതിലുണ്ടാ മാനിഷാദകൾ, സ്നേഹിക്കയില്ല ഞാൻ നോവും ആത്മാവിനെ സ്നേഹിച്ചിടാത്തൊരു തത്വശാസ്ത്രത്തെയും. So what he says that I will not love any philosophy which does not love a mind in distress. So I love only such a philosophy which is sympathizing with the humanity. So when poets try to transcend their own self, so that experience you get only in poetry. Because science also, to some extent, maybe in physics, when they try to look at the universe, how the universe is is the mystery of the universe. That kind of experience might, and even Einstein wrote once that the cosmic religious experience is a fundamental driving force behind the scientific inquiry. Because there is a cosmic religious experience for which people are trying. That is why science is working. So there is poetry in science, there is science in poetry. These are all the knowledge is, knowledge is indivisible actually. Akhandavan. Knowledge is not divisible. We are dividing knowledge. Knowledge in reality, knowledge is indivisible. There is no difference. That is physics, philosophy, literature, or etc. etc. There is nothing like that. All knowledge is one and the same, because humans are finite. They have very little small lifetime. We have nothing, we cannot understand anything akhandamaite, infinite, because our times are limited. So we divide knowledge. That is why it all appears like this, knowledge. So now finally I ended. Now 20 minutes are coming. So and not only that, I have to attend a meeting at 5:30. So in order to do the balance, I am just stopping my monologue. Only thing I want to say is one sloga I want to recite for you. One sloga about the poetry, what I have written. I just this is a sloga which it's like this. സ്ഥൂലം സൂക്ഷ്മതലങ്ങളാർന്നവയൊന്നാക്കിയിടുവാൻ സ്നേഹമാം ലോലശ്രീകതിരിൽ പ്രപഞ്ചമഖിലം സ്പന്ദിച്ചുണർന്നിടവേ, കാലം തന്നെ തെളിഞ്ഞിടുന്ന മഹിതാകാശത്തിൽ ആത്മാവിലെ ജ്വാലയ്ക്കിന്നു വെളിച്ചമാക കവിതേ, ലോകാസമസ്താ സുഖം. This is my definition of poetry. That is why I am reciting this slogan. സ്ഥൂലം സൂക്ഷ്മതലങ്ങളാർന്നവയൊന്നാക്കിയിടുവാൻ സ്നേഹമാം ലോലശ്രീകതിരിൽ പ്രപഞ്ചമഖിലം സ്പന്ദിച്ചുണർന്നിടവേ കാലം തന്നെ തെളിഞ്ഞിടുന്ന മഹിതാകാശത്തിൽ ആത്മാവിലെ ജ്വാലയ്ക്കുന്നു വെളിച്ചമാക കവിതേ ലോകാ സമസ്ത സുഖം. So basically this is a philosophy of poetry. In the reality in which we exist, there are different dimensions. There is a dimension of the infinite, there is a micro and macro dimension. So these two dimensions, if we have to unify them, how to unify them? Then after unifying it, in this human love, when the entire universe becomes alive, at that time, when time arising in the soul's sky, then poetry becomes light there, and all the people, loka samasta sukam, the entire world becomes happy. Not they become. That is the meaning of this shloka. So with these words I remain, and let us continue with the program. Thank you.
Anu?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, please proceed, Anu.
Okay, sir. So, it was a surreal experience to know Malayalam through the perspective of a veteran like you, sir. So now we here intervene, and as we have promised our participants, it is time for another one of our chief guest masterpieces. It is time to sit back and enjoy. I invite Sri Raghu CV, Assistant Professor, the EC Department of NIT Calicut, to render the verses. Sir, please.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. I hope I am audible.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. Okay. So good evening, everybody. This is a poem like all of us can easily relate at this time what we are now moving. And the name of this poem itself is Virus. So the poem is this. സൂക്ഷ്മരൂപിയായി ഫലനിഹിതം പുഴുവായി തക്ഷകൻ ദംശിക്കുവാനടുത്തേക്കെത്തും പോലെ ഒളിച്ചും പതുങ്ങിയും തഞ്ചത്തിൽ ശ്വാസത്തിൽ ചെന്നുളിയിട്ടകത്തെത്താൻ ശ്രമിപ്പൂ കൊടും വൈറസ്. ലക്ഷ്യമേകമാണുള്ളിൽ ചെല്ലണം രഹസ്യമായി, ലക്ഷോപലക്ഷങ്ങളായി പെരുകിപ്പരക്കണം. പ്രാണവായുവേ നൽകും കോശസഞ്ചയങ്ങളെ പ്രാണനെ താങ്ങുന്നോരെ മുച്ചൂടും മുടിക്കണം. ചതിയന്മാർക്കെന്നാൽ വൻ വിജയം സമ്മാനിക്കാൻ ചിതമായി വിധായകൻ വിരചിച്ചില്ലീ ലോകം. പതുങ്ങിയൊളിച്ചെത്തും വൈരിയെ തുരത്തുവാൻ പടയുണ്ടുള്ളിൽ തനുരക്ഷക സേനാവ്യൂഹം. രാപ്പകലധ്വാനിപ്പൂ ശത്രുവെ തോൽപ്പിക്കുവാൻ ശ്വേതവസ്ത്രാച്ഛാദിതർ മുന്നണി പോരാളികൾ. അവരാൽ സംരക്ഷിതർ, അറിവിൽ അവരുടെ പരമത്യാഗം, കർമ്മവ്യഗ്രതാ സമർപ്പണം. അവരീ ശരീരത്തിൽ ആദി തൊട്ടജ്ഞാതമായി പ്രവഹിച്ചിടും ജ്ഞാനവാഹിനി പ്രയോക്താക്കൾ. അവരോടൊപ്പം പൊരുതിയിടുവാൻ മനീഷയുണ്ട്, അതുമൂലം മരുന്നിനാലായുധമൊരുക്കുന്നു. ജീവനും ഇവർ വെടിഞ്ഞിടുന്നതാർക്കാണവർ ഈ വരഭടന്മാരെ അറിയില്ലെന്നാകിലും. ഇങ്ങനെ വിഭിന്നാർത്ഥതലങ്ങൾ സമ്മേളിച്ചു തങ്ങളിൽ കൈകോർത്തല്ലോ ജീവിതം രചിക്കുന്നു. മർത്യതയ്ക്കുപരിയും അതുപോലെ അനന്തമാം സത്യത്തിൻ തലങ്ങളുണ്ട് ഈ വിശ്വപ്രകൃതിയിൽ. സൂക്ഷ്മമായുള്ളിൽ മരുവും ജീവസ്പന്ദരുക്ഷരേണുക്കൾ തൊട്ടങ്ങനന്ത വിഹായസിൽ അക്ഷയമചിന്യമാം ഊർജസാഗരത്തിന്റെ അപ്രതിരോധ്യം തരംഗാന്തോളനങ്ങൾ വരെ. അക്രമത്തിനെ ചെറുത്തിടുവാൻ കരുത്തുറ്റോർ അന്യോന്യമറിയാതെ ലക്ഷ്യമൊന്നിനെ കാൺമോർ. നമ്മളും അപാരതാപപുസ്തിൻ ശ്വേതാണുക്കൾ, നമ്മളും അതുപോലീ വിശ്വത്തിൻ പോരാളികൾ. വിശ്വനൈതികതയിൽ വിള്ളലെങ്ങാനും വീണാൽ വിസ്ഫുരിച്ചിടും നമ്മിൽ വിങ്ങലായ തിൻതാപം. പ്രപഞ്ചാത്മാവെപ്പോഴും അദൃശ്യൻ നമ്മൾക്കെന്നാൽ പ്രഹർഷമുള്ളിൽ നൽകും പ്രഭവമതൊന്നല്ലോ. അതിനായി പോരാടുമ്പോൾ നമ്മളും പരാപര മനസ്സിൻ കണങ്ങളായി മാറുന്നു, തിളങ്ങുന്നു. അത്തിളക്കത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ കാണുക കാലാധികവർത്തിയായി ജ്വലിക്കുന്ന സംസാര ജീവാധാരം. ചോദനം അതിൽ നിന്നു മാനുഷൻ ഉൾക്കൊള്ളുമ്പോൾ ചോരനായെത്തും വൈറസ് എങ്ങനെ ജയിക്കുവാൻ. ചോദനം അതിൽ നിന്നു മാനുഷൻ ഉൾക്കൊള്ളുമ്പോൾ ചോരനായെത്തും വൈറസ് എങ്ങനെ ജയിക്കുവാൻ.
വളരെ നന്നായിട്ടുണ്ട് രഘു.
Thank you, sir. So, just for others, as the name implies, the poem talks about virus. Normally, virus enter into human body without we knowing it. But the nature itself created this world in such a way that these type of cheaters can't exist here. We have something called, as all of us know, the white blood cells in our body to fight against such intruders. Even though we are not aware about these fighters, they work day and night to protect us. Here, the poet relates these white-colored fighters to our medical team who are helping us to fight against the deadly virus. And another meaning that is coming to this is like we, the human beings, are the soldiers of this universe itself. We are capable of fighting with any foes coming against the very existence of this universe. When we fight like that, we become a part of this universe. And in such a situation, no virus will be able to win over the life. Thus, the poem ends with the optimistic perception showing the possible victory of mankind over the deadly virus and hence any threat that is coming against this universe. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Raghu sir, for the beautiful rendering. I'm very sure that everyone was deeply captivated by our Joy sir's poem. So with this, we will resume our talk, our interesting talk with Joy sir. So, sir, please.
ഇനി എന്താണ് now again some discussion now? അങ്ങനെയാണോ?
Yes, sir. We will discuss, we will take up questions from our audience.
Okay, please.
Yeah. So, audience, you can ask, you can either raise your hand or you can type in your questions to the panelists. We will be asking the question to sir. So, all of you can shoot your literary questions to the veteran himself. So, this is your opportunity. Use this opportunity to ask questions. So, yes, we will be taking questions. So participants can also raise their hands in case they want to ask a question.
Yeah, there is a question now. Anu, I think you are able to see that, right? Oh, sorry. I think it has come to me only.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there is a question from Shijo Thomas. Sir, what was your inspiration in writing an explanation for Upanishad?
Okay, so actually it is not an explanation, it is a translation. I have translated these 14 Upanishads to Malayalam as poetry. Malayalam, there have been translations of Upanishads to Malayalam, but they are all prose. So I translated it as slogas. So why it is important? You know, Upanishad is a science again. It is called the science of the self. See, what do we do in science generally? We, as an observer, observe the universe, and the universe is considered to be objective. So we look at the universe, try to find out certain truths, but we often forget that we are also part of that observing universe. It is just like a fish trying to find out what is there in the ocean. The fish is actually immersed in the ocean. So whatever we do, but we imagine that we are outside, then we make an objective observation, objective reality. This may not be, this is not a perfect this thing. So whatever findings we come out with an objective observation, thinking that is objective, is really not objective, because we are also part of that reality. This is also the same idea again of quantum physics. So now there is a way, when we look outward, this is looking at the world in one direction. But similarly, we can look inward, because where is all this entire universe which is existing outside, which is infinite. That entire universe we know because that exists in our mind. So there is the entire universe, if we consider as infinite, there is another infinite universe in our mind, because all that infinite universe is contained in your mind. Whatever, at least that idea of infinity is coming in our mind. So this universe is in our mind also. So you can look in the reverse direction and see your mind, trying to understand what it is. Not mind, try to see the self. What is the self? So universe is basically, so Upanishads is basically a science which is trying to understand the self. So this is also a kind of science. It was there some people, the people in India in 3,000 years ago, they were trying to look into their minds to the self and trying to find out what is the reality of the self. And their inquiries resulted in certain truths, which is called, they have put in the Upanishads. Actually, Upanishads, there is no author. They never put their name as to who wrote it. It has different meaning. Upanishad, it is basically sometimes discussion, maybe discussion. But unfortunately, fortunately, they came up certain truths. Those truths are written in the Upanishad. So I was very interested in this Upanishad philosophy. They are very wonderful poems are there in that. For example, the first poem of this Ishavasya Upanishad, one of the very beautiful Upanishads. Mahatma Gandhi was liking it very, very well. I mean, he is most liked Upanishad is Ishavasya. Similarly, Swami Vivekananda, his favorite Upanishad is Katha Upanishad. So people have been very, they have had favorite Upanishads. Ishavasya Upanishad starts with the sloka, Ishavasya midam sarvam yatkinja jagatyam jagat tena tektena hunjida ma grudha kasya siddhanam. Now, this sloka is a very interesting. Now, it's a third line only I want to say. The third line says that tena tektena hunjida. Tena tektena hunjida means you renounce and enjoy. This is the meaning. That the idea is, how do we, all our economists, those who study economics, they know, how do you enjoy? You consume more. Economics says human wants are unlimited, human needs are unlimited. The more you satisfy your wants, the happier you become. So it says you try to satisfy your wants and needs more and more, so that you get more and more happiness. This is the entire basic premise, fundamental postulate of economics, modern economics. But this line says, renounce and enjoy. That means you reduce your wants, even if you can satisfy your wants, you renounce with your mind. With your mind, you renounce. You say that I don't want this. You think like this. Then you enjoy it. Then you get a feeling of enjoyment. You see, this is a different thought. Is there a thought like this? Have you encountered such a thought? Is it possible? Then if you have a doubt whether it is possible, try that. Try that experiment. What is being told? Renounce and see whether there is any enjoyment. and renounce, and what you renounce, you try to give to somebody and see whether there is enjoyment. So in human life, so economics may not be perfectly correct. That because the fundamental premise, when it goes wrong, the science goes wrong. We all know this. What is a postulate? A science is nothing but a logical architecture built on a postulate. If postulate is wrong, science is wrong. So this is the kind of truth which is there. There's another sloka in Ishavasi itself, which says that Antham tama pravishandi e vidyam uvasade tato puyevate namo evu vidyayam dada. I translated this to Malayalam as a sloka. It is Marachirikkinnu Suvarnapatram Kontengume Satyamukha He Surya Matiyedukadang Satyam Darshichukollatte even Swadhammi. This is the translation which I wrote. It says that that it is a different slogan. This slogan, the slogan which I said, its meaning is Antantama. The other one is another slogan. That is, the truth is covered by a golden vessel. That is it. The Antantama Pravishandi is the slogan which says that a person who pursues avidya means, you can call it ignorance, but in the Upanishadic language, avidya means aparavidya. It is the knowledge of the world. It is the knowledge of the external world. So the knowledge of the external world is called aparavidya or avidya. You can even call it ignorance or lack of knowledge, whatever it is. So any person who pursues avidya enters darkness. That is what it says. Antham tama pravishandi e vidyam uvasade. So a person who pursues avidya gets into darkness. But the next line says, a person who is always, enamored by vidya, he enters not light, he enters greater darkness. This is that slogan. It says, a person who pursues avidya enters darkness, but a person who is always enamored by vidya enters greater darkness. And a person who knows how to pursue both and understand both, and that is both merge into one, he is the one who conquers death. This is what it says. See, that thought is such a profound thought that you can write a book on this thought. That much profundity is there in these small lines. So this is the peculiarity of many of the Upanishadic slokas. So because that philosophy is so wonderful, I thought it has already prose translation, but I thought it should have a poem translation. So that is why I translated this into poetry. Okay.
Okay, sir. So now we have a lot of questions, but audience, please, sir has a meeting at 5:30. So I'll go with the first question I received. Hello, sir. Can you speak a little bit on the political poems by Vailopalli, Kadamanitta, ONV, Chullikadu, and others? How has it influenced the political movements in Kerala? Also, do you think our poets in general have not utilized this powerful medium for political movements as happened in many other countries, including Latin America? That is the first question.
See, the point is that, as I said earlier, when a paradigm of poetry, when you look at it, it has got a positivist paradigm. It has got a post-positivist or constructive paradigm, where the poet is just looking. He's an observer. He feels and he writes. That's all. But if somebody thinks he's transformative, like Vaila, it is not sufficient to look at reality. It is not sufficient to convey or express reality. But it is required to transform the reality. Then that is the political messages of such poets. It is not that every poet tries to transform. Many poets are confined to looking at reality, expressing it. Even expression is a political activity, because expressing something political and just expressing observations is, if somebody looks at reality and the truth, and it is properly conveyed to the reader, even that is a kind of political activity without a person expressly becoming political. Every kind of things are possible. So different poets have looked at different things, and political doesn't mean the kind of political system as mentioned in our political activity. Political only means how should a society be governed. That is a message of politics. Politics may not be the kind of meaning which we understand it by politics today. What is seen politics is the way in which politics expresses in our present society. But the word politics only means how should a society be governed, how should a society be organized. This is the politics. On which a poet will have certain views, that a society should be organized in such a manner that the good should triumph, the justice should triumph, and there should be truth there, and the world should be a good place to live, and the world should take care of the future generations, and the world should take care of it should have a proper value system. It should value things which are having long-term value. See, all these are political statements. So how the society should be organized, the views of the poet gets expressed in poetry. If you look at it that way, every poet is political. Every poem has a political message because it expresses the truth as the poet sees it. Now it is up to the reader to read and understand and put it into his life. Because what is political, what is social, the greatest social contribution is changing the mind of a person. The greatest political activity is changing the mind of people. It is not declaring, if somebody says a slogan, we consider it as political. But suppose somebody doesn't say any slogan, nothing. But the truth is written down properly. And somebody who reads it, his mind changes. He understands and appreciates the truth. And that reader's activities now gets changed a little bit. So that the activity has become political. His poetry is now political. So every poem, that way, if you look at it, it is political. But some poets, get into political activities also. And that is probably what people think are political poets. In my opinion, every poet is a political. Even Eduthacharan was highly political because his vision, his values, his things have gone into his poetry. At that time, there was no political party. When Eduthacharan was there, 16th century in our country, there was no political party at that point. Some kings were there and all that. But Eduthacharan is a poet, is political poet, because he has conveyed how a society should be. He has conveyed certain values to the reader's mind, and that is the political activity. In fact, this conveying thing is more powerful than sloganeering. Sloganeering is not that important, but if you change the mind of a person, that is political activity. Okay.
Okay, sir. So, sir, before we go on with the next question,
You are mentioning about ONV and various poets. Their poems are there, very beautiful poems they have written. Like I mentioned Vailad's poem earlier, what was his view of society and all that. Similarly, about ONV, about all those poets we can say, but I don't think there is enough time now for this purpose. Maybe we can do it sometime later. Okay.
okay, sir. So we have a lot of questions, but before we go into the questions, we will now ask some of our students who are very excited to recite a poem by sir to take over the dais. So I invite Jishnu, Rahul to recite a few verses of your poem and Savi to explain its meaning. After that, we will resume with the questions. So yeah, I invite Jishnu, Savi, and Rahul.
Good evening, sir. I am Rahul. Good evening. So we were very happy to have you here. So we'll be reciting the first few lines of a beautiful poem called Tunnel by Sir Joyce. And my friend Jishnu will be reciting the rest of the poem. തണലുണ്ടു കൊടുവയിലുത്തുന്ന വീതിയിൽ തണലിനു തണലായി രാത്രിയുണ്ട് ഈ കുളിരേകിയൊഴുകും നിലാവുണ്ട് സുരഭില കുമുദം നിലാവിനുണ്ട് കുമുദം ലസിക്കുവാൻ പൊയ്കയുണ്ട് പുലരുവാൻ കമനീയ മലകളുണ്ട് ആ സരസിൽ അലകളിളക്കുവാൻ മാരി അത് പൊഴിച്ചലസം ഗമിക്കൂ മുകിലുകൾ വെണ്ണിയോടം തുഴഞ്ഞുപോം ഗഗന സരസ് അതിൽ വിളങ്ങാൻ കതിരുണ്ടു തൽക്കിരണങ്ങളാലൊക്കെ മതിയിലറിയുവാൻ ഞാനുമുണ്ട്.
അരുമയായി എന്നിൽ വിടർന്നുല്ലസിക്കും നിരഹസു സ്നേഹപ്രഭയാക്കി നാക്കളിൽ രസിപ്പിക്കുവാൻ നീയുമുണ്ട്. പരിലസിപ്പിക്കുവാൻ കൊടുവേലു കത്തുന്ന വീതിയിൽ ദ്രുമം ലസിപ്പൂ ദ്രുമം ലസിപ്പൂ. താങ്ക് യു സർ. ഓവർ ടു സാവി.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
So, as Jishnu and Rahul have beautifully recited, Tunnel is a short yet elegant poem that revolves around the theme that its title itself says. Tunnel, meaning shade, or more widely, the support that different aspects of nature extend within themselves. It opens with a beautiful explanation of how the trees provide shade during the scorching heat, and how the night shades the trees, how the moonlight beautifies the night, and many more instances on how different aspects of nature support and beautify each other's existence. The poet finds himself in the middle of all this, enjoying the glory of nature and nurturing his dreams with great passion. It ends with the poet saying, "And then there is you to support me and cherish my dreams, to fill them with passion and to let them shine with the glory of pure love." I hope I have explained it correctly. Thank you.
Yes. Very nice. Very correct. Both of you. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you, Jishnu, Rahul, and Savi. It was very refreshing. Now, before diving into the rest of the questions, I will invite Dr. S.D. Madhukumar, Dean Student Welfare of NIT Calicut, to offer felicitations to our chief guest. Sir, please.
Actually, it was because of Madhukumar that the whole thing has been organized. We have been not classmates, but we have been staying in the same place for almost 4 years, I think, once upon a time. Long time back, 3-4 decades. And Madhukumar is a wonderful person, wonderful teacher, and an appreciator of poetry and literature and all that. So I congratulate Madhukumar and thank him for organizing this event and the opportunity to interact with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, all. Thank you, Dr. Joy VP. So we have been lucky enough to get him in our campus during last 2-3 years. He used to visit our campus and give lectures to our students as well as faculty. And actually, I mean, there is a big group who is actually now enjoying his poems and I mean his books. So he has already made tremendous contributions to Malayalam literature. So, Dr. Joy, today we have one guest from Finland also. Dr. Laila P. Daniel has also joined. Yeah, he is online.
She here?
Yeah, she is there in the participants list. Yeah. Regu, can you enable her mic just for 1 minute?
Laila used to be our senior in the Advantage Engineering College. And we used to interact at that time.
Laila ma'am, can you talk just quickly on?
Sir, I think now she is not here. I think maybe some issue with her network.
Okay. She was there, till now. Okay, so I will just say a few lines from one poem written by Dr. Joy VP. ഇന്നലെ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന കവിത, അതിനകത്ത് ആ കവിത തുടങ്ങുന്നത് ഇങ്ങനെയാണ്: മാറുകയാണ് എപ്പോഴും ലോകമെൻ ചുറ്റും, ഞാൻ ഈ മായിക ചലച്ചിത്രം കണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു ചിത്രം. ആ കവിത അവസാനിക്കുന്ന 2 വരികൾ: മാറുന്നു നിരന്തരം മാനവ മനസ്സുകൾ, മായിക ലോകം മാറുന്നെന്നഹോ നനയ്ക്കുന്നു. നമ്മൾ വിചാരിക്കുന്നു നമ്മുടെ ലോകം മാറിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്, നമ്മളൊരു ചലച്ചിത്രം കാണുന്നത് പോലെ ഈ ലോകത്ത് കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. പക്ഷെ ആ കവിത വളരെ നല്ലൊരു ബ്യൂട്ടിഫുൾ കവിതയാണ്. അതിന്റെ അവസാനം പറയുന്നത് ലോകം മാറുന്നില്ല, നമ്മുടെ മനസ്സാണ് മാറിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്, പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾ ലോകം മാറുന്നു എന്ന് ചിന്തിച്ചു പോകുന്നു. ഒരുപാട് ഒരുപാട് കവിതകളുണ്ട് ഡോക്ടർ ജോയി പിയുടെ. സോ ഇന്ന് NIT കാലിക്കറ്റ് കുട്ടികൾക്കും നമ്മുടെ ഫാക്കൽറ്റിക്കും വേണ്ടി സമയം കണ്ടെത്തിയതിനും NIT ഹമീർപൂർ സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന് വേണ്ടി അല്പസമയം കണ്ടുപിടിച്ച് വന്നതിനും വളരെ വളരെ നന്ദിയുണ്ട്. I hope you will be getting some time for us in the coming years also. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Wish you all the very best. Thank you. Over to you, Anu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, sir, you have to leave by 5:30, right? If I'm not wrong.
I have to leave 2-3 minutes early because I have to go.
3 minutes early. So, we can take one more question or a couple of questions?
Yes, sir.
Before we wind up the event.
Question.
So,
later on, next time we can do one more question. That's all.
Yeah, one more question. So, sir, what inspired you to become a poet? When did you start writing poems? Was Malayalam one of your optional subjects for civil service examination? This is a question by Shiju.
Actually, I used to write poems in my school days when I was in the 7th standard. When I was around 12 years old, I started writing poems and all that. Actually, I used to read a lot of Malayalam poems after that in the high school. And I was very much in love with Malayalam poetry in the school. And I have participated in the youth festivals, writing poetry. When I was doing engineering, I have written, participated in the competitions and all that poetry. And poetry I was liking since that time. So actually, when I was in the high school, I wanted to become study Malayalam. And that was my ambition at that point of time. But when I passed 10th and 12th, because at that time, I liked mathematics and physics and all that, so I got into engineering. So that is why I joined this electronics and communication engineering in Trivandrum Engineering College. But then I have studied Malayalam only up to 12th. So after that, I never studied Malayalam formally. But because of my acquaintance with Malayalam and interest in Malayalam poetry, I continued to read Malayalam and sort of write also, but I never used to publish because I was very busy in my job. Then I did more studies after I joined civil service later. In fact, civil service I never wanted to join also. It came accidentally after my engineering degree. I was working in Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. So one day I met my senior person, senior person. He was working there. He told he is writing civil service. So I wrote a civil service next year and joined the civil service. And then it was very busy. I did studies and all that later. So I did not publish. But then later on, I started really serious publication only after in the last 7 years. The last 7 years, even the poems which I wrote a long time back in school and college. I published a book in 2001, which consists of the poems which I wrote in school and college. That book is called Manal Varagal. Those poems in that book, Manal Varagal, were the poems I wrote when I was in school and in engineering college. Then later on, in 2013 onwards, I have published the poems which I wrote later, and subsequently also many poems. So now I published, I think, 11 books of Malayalam poetry, including various Khandakavyas and all that. Many of these poems are available in the YouTube. At least I think 40-50 are available. I think in the YouTube there's a channel called Malayala Vasantham in the YouTube. So there my poems are available in the YouTube. And also then I got translations. 4 books I translated to Malayalam. All the 4 books I translated as poetry, not as prose. This Khalil Gibran's Prophet is a work of prose in English. It is written in prose. But it's such a beautiful prose that I thought it is a good idea to translate it as poetry. So I translated it as poetry. And so also, that is called Khalil Gibran's Prophet Pravajagan. Then another book, Lavosu's philosophical work, has been translated as poetry. And then one book by Pushkin, Alexander Pushkin, has been translated. And also the Upanishad. So 4 works I have translated as poetry. And then I have written 3 books, original books in English also. They are mostly more philosophical works. in English. One is called Facets of Freedom. The other is called Limits and Limitations of the Human Mind. And a third one is called Reflections on the Philosophy of Education. So these are my intellectual pursuit. Of course, I have published some research papers in my subject called Energy Optimization and some related subjects in some international journals, which are all available in the net, which you can look through because you are engineers, whereas you are interested in certain research papers and all that.
So thank you, sir.
So thank you very much and see you again. It was a wonderful day and wonderful session. I would look for more opportunities to interact with the young minds. It is very pleasant and very happy for me. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I leave now with all your permission. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. With this, I'd like to call upon Dr. Tapas Pale, Nodal Officer, Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat Club of NIT Hamirpur, to conclude the event and propose the vote of thanks. Sir. Sir, you are muted, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Anu. Professor P.S. Satidevi, Director in Charge, NIT Calicut. Professor S.D. Madhukumar, Dean Student Welfare, NIT Calicut. Dr. V.P. Joy, IAS Officer on Special Duty and Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Kerala. Dr. Jai Prakash, Nodal Officer, NIT Calicut. Dr. C.V. Raghu, all the faculty members and staff members from both the institutes, student members of EBSD club, participants, ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to one and all present here. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion of EBSD webinar, which was jointly organized by the EBSD club of NIT Calicut and NIT Hamirpur. On behalf of EBSD Club, NIT Calicut and NIT Hamirpur, and on my personal behalf, I extend a very hearty thanks to all the dignitaries present here. We are thankful to Dr. V.P. Joy for accepting our invitation and delivering the excellent session. Professor Sati Devi, Director in Charge, NIT Calicut. Professor S.D. Madhukumar, Dean Student Welfare, NIT Calicut, for gracing the occasion with your illuminating presence and sharing your thoughts. Dr. Raghu, for reciting a wonderful poem. I also a special thanks to Anu for anchoring the whole event, Jishnu, Rahul, Shabi, Gayatri for reciting the poems. I also like to thank Professor Lalit Kumar Awasthi, Director in NIT Hamirpur, and Professor Ines Thakur, Dean Student Welfare in NIT Hamirpur, for encouraging us to organize various events under EBSD activities and providing necessary support. We are thankful to all the participants for attending this session and hope that you learned a lot from Dr. V.P. Joy. The effort of whole EBSB team, starting with Dr. Jai Prakash, Nodal Officer, EBSB, NIT Calicut, Anu Joseph, Jishnu, Shabi, Gayatri, Shashwat, Anil, Adnan, Haq Nijar, Rahul Gupta, Nitesh, Mehak, Yamini, and other organizing members for organizing such wonderful event, and the effort is highly acknowledged. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to NIT Calicut and NIT Hamirpur administration for providing the logistics support. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone for attending this event. Stay tuned to more events of Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat Club. So today, it is time to bid adieu. So goodbye and good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anu. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
രഘു
Sir.
അത് നന്നായി കുഴപ്പമില്ലായിരുന്നു അല്ലേ?
നന്നായി പോയി.
പ്രതീക്ഷിച്ച അത്ര ആളുണ്ടായില്ല. 67 പേര്, 62 പേര്.
അതെ. സർ ഒരു മിനിറ്റ് സർ. സർ.
രഘു,
ഞാൻ അറ്റൻഡേഴ്സ് എല്ലാരും പോയോ നോക്കിയതാ.
കുറച്ചുപേര് ലോഗൗട്ട് ചെയ്യാതെ പോയി തോന്നുന്നു.
അതെനിക്ക് അത് മുഴുവൻ മറ്റേ അവിടെ ഉള്ളവരാണ്. ഞാൻ അവരെയൊക്കെ എക്സ്പെൽ ചെയ്തു. നോർത്ത് ഇന്ത്യൻസ് ആണ്.
അത് അവിടെ ഹമീർപൂർകാരായിരുന്നു അല്ലേ?
ആയിരുന്നു തോന്നുന്നു. കാരണം പേര് കേട്ടിട്ട് മേ ബി നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികൾ ആയിരിക്കാം, പക്ഷെ നോൺ മലയാളീസ് ആയിരുന്നു എന്തായിരുന്നു.
രഘുവിന്റെ കവിത വളരെ നന്നായി, പുള്ളിക്ക് ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടു.
അയ്യോ സാർ ഒരു മിനിറ്റ്, ഒരു മിനിറ്റ്, ഞാൻ എന്റെ റെക്കോർഡിംഗ് കൂടെ കളയട്ടെ. സ്റ്റോപ്പ്.